I'm gonna try to keep my voice down a little bit. I'm in the public library in one of the study rooms. So, I guess I should describe myself a little bit. I'm probably a 7 or 8 out of 10. Facially, like my face is probably a 7 or 8, like high tier normie, as you'd call it, or like a Chad Light. I don't know. It feels kind of weird to talk that way, but basically, I'm pretty good looking, but I'm not like I applied to like a modeling agency once, and they accepted me. I just couldn't make it because it was in New York City. I wasn't there at the time. That being said, I'm overweight. I'm overweight right now, so I can't really model or anything until I lose the weight. If I can model at all now, I don't know. I'm turning 30 soon. Anyway, this is I just want to talk about my experience being sort of good looking, but also being very short. It's manlet status, as some people call it manlet status or whatever. Anyway, I'm 5'7" or 5'8". Like I'm 5'7" and like almost 3/4. So I usually just say 5'8". Even though I'm technically below 5'8". Anyway, I guess I'll just talk about one of my experiences through daily life or whatever. People find it easy to like talk down to you when you're this short, because most guys are like 5'10" or 5'11". Like the majority of guys are like around 5'10", and I'm not even really that close to 5'10". Like I'm pretty far away from that. Like it doesn't seem like it, just a couple inches, but those couple inches make a big difference in size. And I got kind of lucky when it comes to like my dick size, I guess. But but that's for another video, I guess. Like I said, I'm pretty good looking. I'm short, so I'm not 5'6", but I'm about 5'7" or 5'8". So anyway, with like dating online or whatever, like that's pretty much impossible for me, just because I can't list 5'10", because then they won't believe it when I meet them in person. It's actually something I thought about doing, and then like trying to tell shorter women that I'm 5'10", because I think they'd fall for it. Usually in real life they do. Like when a girl is like 5'5" or less, if I wear boots, I can kind of get away with saying I'm 5'10" or even 5'9". But I did that once, and I tricked a girl for a while. She eventually found out that I was 5'7", 5'8", or whatever. My driver's license says 5'7", so she wanted me to pull out my driver's license and tell her what the height said. Because we met online, and then I met her in person. And yeah, she had me pull out my driver's license to prove my height. Even though you can say anything for your driver's license, and they'll pretty much write it down at the DMV or whatever when you get your license. Anyway, that was pretty brutal. I was like, yeah, okay, it says 5'7". I'm not really 5'10". I told her I was 5'8", and then she looked at that, and then she didn't say anything, and that was about it. Yeah, the relationship ended pretty soon after that. So that's one thing that happened. That was like 10 years ago, though. Like I said, I'm almost 30, and that happened about 10 years ago. Another thing I've noticed is just, as I said before, people talk down to you a lot. Like, maybe not necessarily in a rude way, but it's always like a stern way. If they're taller than you, people kind of subconsciously know, like, I can kind of get away with telling this guy what to do. Yeah, it might be my demeanor or whatever, but, like, yeah, if I were taller, they probably wouldn't be so stern and tell me what to do or whatever. For example, I just booking this room in the library, I had to talk to somebody to find out if they had study rooms at all, because this is my second time coming to the library. And she was nice at first, but then I think she noticed that I was like kind of short because she was looking down at me. Like she was like 5'9" probably. The girl I had to talk to. And I don't know, she had a mask on, but she looked pretty attractive. Probably like a 6, but taller than me, so it doesn't really, I'm not really going to be like an option to her probably. Like maybe. Like I've dated taller girls before, but yeah, this one started getting kind of rude with me or whatever. And I was just like, okay, thank you. And then I just went upstairs and got myself this room. Anyway, that's another story about how like brutal it is being 5'8". I'll just say 5'8" from now on. I gotta put a good foot forward. So being approximately 5'8" is just kind of brutal. It's only 2 inches off like an acceptable height, and you always feel so close yet so far away. Like most guys are just a couple inches taller than me. Like most guys are about 5'10". Anyway. It's probably part of the reason why I can't get a girlfriend right now, because I think objectively my face at a low body fat percentage is like an 8, almost a 9 out of 10 face, because I have a big jaw. It's not the most defined jaw, but it's like a big jaw, and I look sort of like androgynous. Not completely androgynous. I probably look more like a guy than a girl. But at the same time, I look sort of androgynous, kind of like what Asians look like. Like a lot of Asians are androgynous. They look sort of like both at the same time. Like I sort of look like that, but more like a guy sort of. Depending on if I have facial hair or not. And that might be partially because of my Native American genetics. I'm like 1/8 Cherokee, not Indian, but Cherokee Indian. We're not really Indians, okay? Anyway, I consider myself white because I'm 7/8 European descent, but 1/8 Cherokee. Anyway, that's probably where I get my androgynous features, because they're originally from East Asia. But if I grow my beard out, which Native Americans can't even grow beards, by the way, but if I grow my beard out, then I'm obviously a guy. I just look kind of like cute or like pretty boyish, but with a beard. And it doesn't really like look bad, but it doesn't look the best in my opinion, so I usually shave. Even when I was homeless, which is another story I might tell, I was clean shaven the entire time. Well, not the entire time. I had a beard for a while, and then I just started shaving it at the homeless shelters. And since then, I've just shaved like I used to when I was younger, because I think it shows my jawline more. Also, once I lose weight, I gained a bunch of weight recently. Once I lose weight, my face will show my jawline a lot more, and I think I'll be like an 8.5 or something. I probably won't be a 9 out of 10, but if I gym maxed or whatever, sorry, I'm sick. I have the flu. If I gym max or whatever, I could be a 9 out of 10 just by lifting, but without steroids too. I've done it once before. I lifted throughout my 20s, but I hurt my elbow, so I don't like to lift anymore. It's just kind of a weak elbow now. My right elbow is just kind of weak. Anyway, that's one or two stories of what it's like being a short guy. Not that I'm like a short guy. I'm sort of an average guy too. It's a weird place to be. Like at 5'7", 5'8", it's a weird sort of like you're average, but you're not average, and you should have been or something, but you weren't. So yeah, it's kind of brutal. But I have a full head of hair, and I can grow a beard, and I have a big jaw, and blue eyes, blonde hair. I have sort of a big nose, but I actually don't see big noses as unattractive necessarily. So I don't consider that like a fault of mine. Like I think it's a pretty good nose. And my lips are a little bit fucked up. I don't know. My lips look pretty good if I'm mewing. But if I'm not mewing, it's sort of like they like fold in on themselves. I don't look that good. Not fold in on themselves, but like it's like I'm sucking on a straw, kind of. So I usually mew, and I look like a lot better. But I have pretty big lips. They're not that big, but they're probably like average, maybe a little bit above average, but they look pretty good. Also, my ears, I always thought I had big ears, but they're not that big. They're probably like slightly above average, but not big enough to be like ogre or whatever. Assuming that ogre maxing means looking like an ogre. That's what I assumed it meant. I heard DBDR talk about that. Anyway, so I'm not... so being short sort of made me... I'm not an incel. I've had relationships. It's just that lately it seems like... Lately it seems like guys aren't getting into relationships as much, and it's harder to get into a relationship. And all of the relationships I had never lasted, and the girl always broke up with me. Like I never broke up with the girl because I didn't get out much. So the girls that I did talk to and get into relationships with, they always just got bored of me and left. So yeah, my face is like a 7 or an 8. Like it's probably an 8, to be honest. So like good enough to like that I could like model if I wanted to. I have an Instagram with like 1,400 followers. I could get more followers, but I don't really pursue it that much because I think modeling is kind of gay. But it's something that I wanted to do just to validate myself because women weren't always doing that because I'm kind of short. I'm still tall enough to model, but not really. It's not ideal, but yeah. Like I couldn't be a runway model probably, but I could be like an Instagram model, or I could model at that place that accepted me years ago once I lose weight. But I don't think I will. Maybe I will though. What's another story that's happened to me because I'm short? It's always like women use deeper voices with me, and they always like the taller women that I run into, and even like shorter women. Shorter women aren't as bad. Like they tend to like not care as much, but at least that's what they say. They obviously care quite a bit about your height, but I can get away with like seeming taller to a shorter woman sometimes, so it's not as bad. Give me a second to think about the next thing I can talk about. Yeah, it's just a brutal... I had to take the height pill and it was just brutal. My 20s were brutal. My early 20s were really brutal when I didn't really realize that I was short. Like, I didn't know I was short. Maybe I knew I was short. I guess I knew I was short, but it didn't really register in my mind. Like, I always thought I'd be like 5'11", but I never grew past the age of 14. I just stopped growing, so I was 5'7.5", 3/4. When I turned 14, and that was it. So, pretty brutal. I just sound like a loser talking about it, but that's been my experience with women, though. It's just that they tend to be more like domineering and like feminazi with me. With like taller guys, they wouldn't do that probably. I've kind of noticed it before. Like, even with guys that aren't that attractive, they kind of tone it down a little bit if the guy's tall. And that's kind of the main thing that bothers me. It's just like I'm easy to push around, and ever since I was a kid, it's been like that. Like, I'm attractive, but I still get picked on, or it's easy to pick on me. Anyway, not that it's that easy to pick on me, but at the same time, like, that's been my experiences with being short. Guys definitely don't respect you as much. Like, yeah. I kind of make up for it, though, because I also have large arms and large legs. Like, I look like I lift. Like, my baseline is like that I look like I lift, and I have like a basic like outline of like abs. Even when I'm fat, you can kind of see like an outline of abs under certain lighting, and my arms pop out pretty well, and my legs are big, but so I kind of make up for it with I have an athletic build and a good face. I'm just not tall, which usually with an athletic build and a good face, you're usually tall. So it's kind of abnormal, but I don't want to talk about my early childhood, but basically I starved for a while, so maybe that's why. But my parents aren't that tall either, so maybe not. Like, my dad's about 5'8" probably, and my mom's 5'3", and I'm like I said, I'm like 5'7.5". So I'm like right about where I should be. Yeah, given my parents. My brother is 5'10", bordering on 5'11", so I was like, man, I'm jealous of you, but yeah. He found a wife pretty quick on Tinder back in like 2013, 2014 or something. And I was like, damn, man, he just so quickly found a woman online because he's like 5'10" probably, but it's not the only reason, but like, to not be disqualified on online dating, you have to be 5'10" or higher, basically. Maybe 5'9", but 5'10" basically. So good for him. He kind of made fun of me when I was younger. Once he got taller than me, and I was like, yeah, I'm not that tall. And I was pretty thin too. I was like a twink for a while, and my face didn't look as good. Like, my jaw grew throughout my 20s. I was really thin before, and my jaw was like smaller. Your jaw can get smaller if you're like not eating enough. Anyway, not that happens overnight. It doesn't, but yeah. But especially from like the side, like to the like, if I turn my head slightly to the left, like, you can see my jaw really well. So I have a good jaw. That's the main thing. Like, that's my main thing that makes up for it. So some women are willing to get with me even though I'm short, but there's always this underlying, like, I wish you were taller kind of thing. And another thing, I never feel comfortable, like, in public around, like, tall people, just because I'm like, if I had to get into a fight with one of these guys, like, they're going to be so much more powerful. Even though I have big arms, so like that kind of makes up for my size a little bit, like my height. And it's not like I can't fight, and I know martial arts, so I'm not that worried. But I had to like learn martial arts, like when I was younger, and from movies and stuff. I'm actually pretty good at like copying what they do in movies, like with martial arts. But that's like a short guy thing. Like you have to learn martial arts to defend yourself because you can't do it like just naturally because you're not big enough. It's a good way to learn. But yeah, like Jet Li's like 5'6", so but he can beat up like anybody just because he's so trained, and I'm pretty good. But yeah, I'm a white guy, by the way. I said that, but I'm a white guy. I'm not Asian, so I'm not moving as fast, but I'm pretty fast. Anyway, I don't get into fights. It's some background about me. Anyway, it sucks to be short. Maybe I'll share some more stories about being short as I go along my life. Anyway, thanks.